Before we dive into this fascinating journey, we want to hear from you. Have you ever heard of the Nephilim? These mysterious figures from the Bible have intrigued scholars and curious minds for centuries. Leave a comment below, sharing what you know or what you'd like to discover. Your contribution could enrich this investigation even further. Since the dawn of humanity, stories of extraordinary beings have captured the imagination of civilizations. In the Bible, one group of characters stands out as one of the most enigmatic references to the supernatural: the Nephilim, described in Genesis 6:4 as giants born from the union of sons of God and daughters of men. These beings occupy a unique place in biblical narrative. They are mentioned briefly, but their implications echo through the centuries, raising profound questions about their nature, origin, and purpose. Who were these Nephilim? Were they merely symbolic figures, representations of a corrupted world before the flood? Or did they truly exist, leaving tangible marks on our collective history? The biblical description suggests that the Nephilim were beings of immense stature and incomparable strength, often associated with violence and chaos that preceded divine judgment. Some ancient texts, such as the Book of Enoch, expand on this narrative, detailing how these beings taught forbidden skills to humanity, such as weapon-making and the use of magic. These stories not only challenge our theological understanding, but also invite us to explore surprising connections with other cultures and mythologies. For example, could the Nephilim be related to the gigantic figures of Greek mythology, such as the Titans or even semi-divine heroes like Hercules? The idea of hybrids, beings that defy the boundaries between human and divine, is a recurring theme in various traditions, suggesting that these narratives may share universal roots. As we observe these connections, we begin to notice intriguing patterns. The Nephilim, like other giants and hybrids from ancient mythologies, seem to represent something greater than mere literary or religious figures. They symbolize the confrontation between order and chaos, between the known and the unknown. They are archetypes that transcend time and culture, reflecting timeless human fears and aspirations. By exploring these stories, we are not only seeking answers about the past, but also questioning our place in the modern world. How can these narratives help us better understand ourselves and the legacy we've inherited from our ancestors? This is just the beginning of a journey that promises to reveal unexpected connections and profound insights. Get ready to delve into a universe of ancient texts, controversial archaeological discoveries, and modern interpretations that challenge common sense. This is only the start of an exploration that will unravel the mystery behind these extraordinary beings. Stay with us until the end, because every detail will be crucial to understanding the truth about the Nephilim. The biblical narrative of the Nephilim is just the tip of the iceberg of a much broader and more complex theme. To understand their relevance, we need to explore the historical and cultural context in which these stories emerged. At the time, when the biblical texts were written, ancient civilizations were surrounded by mythologies that explained natural phenomena and extraordinary events. These accounts were a way of making sense of the unknown, transforming chaos into order through symbolic narratives. The Nephilim, described as powerful giants feared by many, can be seen as a representation of this attempt to understand the inexplicable. When we analyze Genesis 6:4 more deeply, we realize that the Nephilim are not just isolated characters, but part of a larger narrative about the corruption of humanity before the flood. The union between sons of God and daughters of men has been interpreted in various ways throughout theological history. Some scholars suggest it refers to fallen angels who defied divine laws by interacting with humans, while others see it as a metaphor for the mixing of pure and impure lineages. Regardless of interpretation, the result is clear: the emergence of hybrid beings who defied natural boundaries and brought violence and disorder. This idea of transgressing natural laws is not exclusive to the Bible. In Greek mythology, for example, we find fascinating parallels, such as the Minotaur, a hybrid creature born from the forbidden union between Pasiphae and a bull sent by Poseidon. Like the Nephilim, the Minotaur represents the chaos resulting from acts that defy divine order. Both cases reflect a universal concern with the limits of humanity and the consequences of overstepping them. These connections suggest that ancient cultures shared common themes when addressing the supernatural and the monstrous. But what makes these figures so intriguing is their duality. On one hand, they represent the fear of the unknown and the chaos that threatens established order. On the other, they also symbolize the potential for humanity to overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Goliath, for instance, is often associated with the Nephilim in post-biblical Jewish texts. His defeat at the hands of David demonstrates how faith and cunning can triumph over brute strength. This theme of heroic confrontation against chaos is a universal archetype present in both the Bible and mythologies like the Greek tradition. Now that we've begun to uncover the layers of meaning behind these figures, get ready to go even deeper. In the next few minutes, we'll reveal historical and scientific evidence that may shed light on the real existence of these giants and their connections to other cultures. Don't leave now. We're about to explore discoveries that challenge our understanding of the past and invite us to rethink what we know about human history. In the meantime, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future investigations. As we explore the connections between the Nephilim and other mythologies, we begin to notice a universal pattern in how different cultures interpret the supernatural. In Greek mythology, for example, figures like Hercules and the Minotaur share thematic elements with the biblical Nephilim. Hercules, a demigod born from the union of Zeus and a mortal, represents superhuman strength and the struggle against chaotic creatures such as the giant Antaeus. These stories reflect the constant tension between order and disorder, humanity and divinity, themes that are also present in biblical narratives about the Nephilim. The Minotaur, on the other hand, is a hybrid creature that symbolizes the result of moral and divine transgressions. Born from the forbidden passion between Pasiphae and a sacred bull, he was confined in the labyrinth of Crete, where he became a threat to all who dared to face him. Like the Nephilim, the Minotaur personifies the chaos that arises when natural boundaries are violated. This idea of monstrosity as a consequence of forbidden acts is a recurring theme in various cultures, suggesting that these narratives may have common roots or influenced one another over time. But the connections between the Nephilim and other cultures are not limited to ancient myths. In post-biblical Jewish texts, such as the Book of Enoch, we find detailed descriptions of these giant beings and their activities on Earth. According to this apocryphal text, the Nephilim taught forbidden skills to humanity, such as weapon-making and the use of magic, contributing to the moral corruption that preceded the flood. These narratives expand the scope of the Nephilim, transforming them from mere giants into central figures of a cosmic crisis that required divine intervention. These connections between cultures and traditions reveal something fascinating. Humanity has always sought to understand the extraordinary through metaphors and universal archetypes. Whether in the Bible, Greek mythology, or other traditions, these figures represent the confrontation between the human and the divine, the known and the unknown. They remind us that, despite cultural differences, we share timeless fears and aspirations. Now that we've begun to understand these connections, get ready to explore modern evidence that may shed light on the real existence of these beings. Keep watching to discover how these stories continue to influence our contemporary world. And don't forget to share this video with other curious minds. Together, we can expand this investigation. As we advance in this investigation, it's impossible to ignore the archaeological and scientific evidence that has been associated with the Nephilim over the centuries. Although many of these discoveries are controversial, they offer an intriguing window into exploring the possibility that these biblical giants truly existed. Historical accounts mention giant skeletons found in various parts of the world, such as ancient Mesopotamia and even the Americas. These findings, though often questioned by the scientific community, fuel speculation about lost civilizations and extraordinary beings that once inhabited the Earth. Beyond archaeological discoveries, scientific theories also attempt to explain the origin of these legends. Some hypotheses suggest that stories of giants may be related to natural phenomena, such as genetic diseases that caused abnormal growth, such as gigantism or acromegaly. Other theories point to extreme climatic events or geological catastrophes that could have inspired narratives about colossal beings and devastated worlds. These explanations do not invalidate ancient stories, but offer a new perspective on how our ancestors interpreted the world around them. However, the connections between the Nephilim and other cultures are not limited to the past. In the modern era, these figures continue to capture the popular imagination, appearing in literary works, films, and games. Works like Percy Jackson and the Olympians reinterpret the Nephilim as ancient and powerful races, while biblical adaptations portray Goliath as a symbol of arrogance and oppression. These modern representations demonstrate how ancient stories remain relevant, adapting to the concerns and values of each era. This cultural persistence leads us to reflect on the role of these narratives in our understanding of the world. Whether as metaphors for chaos and order, or as attempts to explain the inexplicable, these figures continue to challenge our perceptions and expand our imagination. Now that we're nearing the conclusion of this journey, prepare for a final reflection that will connect all the points discussed so far. Before we get there, take a moment to enable notifications for the channel so you don't miss future videos that explore equally fascinating mysteries. As we reach the final point of this investigation, it becomes evident that the Nephilim are not just isolated figures from an ancient text, but universal archetypes that transcend cultures and eras. They represent the struggle between order and chaos, humanity and divinity, the known and the unknown. Whether in the Bible, Greek mythology, or other traditions, these narratives share common themes that reflect our deepest fears and highest aspirations. They remind us that, despite cultural differences, we are united by fundamental questions about our origin, purpose, and destiny. These stories also challenge our understanding of the past and invite us to rethink what we know about human history. The connections between the Nephilim, Goliath, Hercules, and the Minotaur reveal a universal pattern in how different civilizations interpret the supernatural. These hybrid beings symbolize the result of moral and natural transgressions, serving as warnings about the limits we should not cross. At the same time, they inspire stories of heroism and overcoming, showing that even in the face of chaos, humanity can find ways to restore order. Perhaps the most important lesson from these narratives is their ability to connect us to one another. As we explore these ancient stories, we realize that they continue to resonate in our modern world, adapting to the concerns and values of each era. Whether in literary works, films, or games, these figures remain alive, challenging new generations to question, imagine, and seek meaning in a world full of mysteries. They remind us that, deep down, we are all explorers on this great human journey. Now that we've reached the end of this investigation, we'd like to thank you for joining us on this journey. Your curiosity and engagement make it possible to explore such fascinating topics as this. Before we conclude, leave your thoughts in the comments. What stood out to you most in this investigation? What other mysteries would you like to see explored? Together, we can continue expanding knowledge and connecting people through these incredible stories. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow future videos that delve into historical, religious, and cultural mysteries. Until the next adventure.